Conclusion. Now, what happens next matters most. Not long ago, my family and I moved into an idyllic community. White picket fences line the streets. There are no street lamps. There are more horse trails than roads. Our children spent long days playing outside with our happy dog, riding horses and playing tennis. We took morning walks and bike rides. We planted a garden with apple trees, grapevines, and melon plants. In short, we found ourselves living in a little piece of heaven on earth. One of our daughters, Eve, seemed especially to thrive. She's a slim, brown-eyed, blonde-haired girl with a mischievous grin. She simply cannot stay cross. Even when she tries to be grumpy, she can only do it for a few seconds before bursting into laughter. She loves to be in nature. Some family friends of ours still recall how she climbed to the top of their massive 50-foot fir tree the first time she visited their home. She ran barefoot whenever she could, wrestled with her younger brother on the trampoline for hours at a time, named the chickens, carefully caught lizards by the dozens, and gently released them. Eve read endlessly, devouring books about horses, bees, and insects. Her favorite was a series about a veterinarian's adventures with farm animals and their owners in Yorkshire, England. She wrote about her own adventures in her journal every day. Once when I took Eve with me on a business trip, I called Anna from the airport and told her Eve literally hadn't stopped talking since we left an hour and a half before. It was animated, scintillating conversation punctuated with laughter. Then Eve turned 14. She hit a growth spurt, began to feel tired a lot, talked to us less, and took longer to do her chores. So, pretty age-appropriate behavior, or so we thought. On a routine visit with a physical therapist, he noticed Eve didn't respond properly to basic reflex tests. He took Anna aside and said, "You might want to see a neurologist." We didn't have to be told twice. From there, her symptoms worsened on a daily basis. Within just a few weeks, she could answer only in one-word sentences, speaking in a slurred and monotone voice. We noticed that the right-hand side of her body responded at a slower speed than the left-hand side. It took her 2 full minutes to write her name and hours to eat a meal. The light, once so vibrant and bright in Eve, dimmed. Then it seemed to go out entirely when she was hospitalized after a major seizure. What made the situation worse was that the doctors couldn't explain any of it. They could not offer us even the beginning of a diagnosis. Every day brought more visits to respected neurologists who looked at us with furrowed brows. One of them literally shrugged his shoulders. There were tests and tests and more tests. All of them came back negative. The doctors couldn't find anything, not even a clue. To watch our vivacious daughter in an almost constant state of free fall and have no explanation is the stuff of true suffering is made of. With each unfruitful doctor's visit, each inconclusive test, it became harder and harder to see the road ahead. The challenge before us didn't just feel hard, it felt utterly impossible. All we wanted in the world was for Eve to get better. That wasn't just the most important thing, it was the only thing. What came into view for me was 2 paths for getting there. One made this challenging situation heavier, the other made this challenging situation lighter. And we had to choose which path to take. Maybe this choice seems obvious, but it wasn't. As parents, our instinct was to attack the problem with full force from all directions, worrying about her 24/7, reaching out to every neurologist in the country, meeting with doctors one after the other, and asking them a million questions, pulling all-nighters, poring over medical journals, and Googling for a cure or even just a diagnosis, researching alternative medicine as a possible option. What the gravity of the situation called for, we assumed, was near superhuman effort, but such an approach would have been unsustainable while also producing disappointing results. Mercifully, we took the second path. We realized that the best way to help our daughter and our whole family through this time was not by exerting more effort. In fact, it was quite the opposite. We needed to find ways to make every day a little easier. Why? Because we needed to be able to sustain this effort for an unknown length of time. It was non-negotiable. We simply could not know or ever burn out. If your job is to keep the fires burning for an indefinite period of time, you can't throw all the fuel on the flames at the beginning. So we decided there were things we wouldn't do, things we couldn't do. This situation was hard enough without us making it harder. We wouldn't torture ourselves with unanswerable questions. We wouldn't worry ourselves sick by imagining worst case scenarios. We wouldn't complain that the doctors didn't have the answers. We wouldn't live in denial or tell ourselves it's not so bad. We wouldn't try to force the timetable. We wouldn't ask, why us? We wouldn't overanalyze every article from medical journals that well-intentioned people sent to us. We wouldn't try to do it alone. Instead, we decided to focus on the simple things, the easy things that we could control. We got around the piano and sang. We went on walks. We read books. We played games. We looked for the positive and pointed it out. We prayed together. We ate dinner together. We toasted each other. We told stories. We laughed. We were grateful. We did these things each day, and immediately we noticed an almost magical force at play. We felt less burdened. We were less exhausted. We didn't burn out. Of course, the worry didn't disappear entirely. There were still some doctor's appointments to be kept, test results to be waited for. Some days were harder than others. There were plenty of tears, but through it all there was also singing, laughing, eating, and making memories. We didn't just get through this difficult period, didn't just survive it. Our experience was gentler than that. From the moment we decided to choose the easier path, we felt somehow freer and lighter. If this story was a Disney movie, this would be the part where I'd read about how Eve was healed and we all lived happily ever after. But after a round of successful treatments, she started to regress. The troubles returned. How could we have dealt with this setback had we depleted all our energy the first time around? It's been 2 years now. Eve continues to get better. She still has some ways to go, but as I write this, we have reason to believe she will be completely healed. She smiles, she laughs and jokes. She walks, runs, and wrestles. She reads, she writes. She's thriving again. What did I learn from the experience? Whatever has happened to you in life, whatever hardship, whatever pain, however significant those things are, they pale in comparison to the power you have to choose what to do now. The word now comes from a Latin phrase, novus homo, which means a new man, or man newly ennobled. The spirit of this is clear. Each new moment is a chance to start over, a chance to make a new choice. Just think how the trajectory of a life can shift in the most fleeting of moments. The moments where we take control. I choose, I decide, I promise, or from now on. The moments we let go of emotional burdens. I forgive you, I am thankful, or I am willing to accept that. Or the moments when we make something right. Please forgive me. Let's start over. I won't give up on you, or I love you. In each new moment, we have the power to shape all subsequent moments. In each moment, we have a choice. Do I choose the heavier or the lighter path? We watched our daughter diminish into a shell of her former self and return from it. This is the personal experience that inspired me to write this book, to put into words what we learned, what we gained, to share with you the principles and practices of how to lighten our essential journey in life. If you take away just one message from this book, I hope it is this: life doesn't have to be as hard and complicated as we make it. Each of us has, as Robert Frost wrote, promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. No matter what challenges, obstacles, or hardships we encounter along the way, we can always look for the easier, simpler path.